How you up in the church, but you do nothing to the soul but break it. Be demeaning. You ain't clean. You ain't better than me. Yeah. You ain't better than me. You ain't no better than me. How you go to church and you mean? How you go to church and you ain't clean? How you go to church? That's what I'm gonna call this today. How you go to church? How you go to church and you judge me and you look at me like something wrong with me? How you go to church when you don't help nobody but yourself? How you go to church? How you go to church and you think you better than the next man or woman? How you go to church with a smile on your face knowing that you evil on the inside and rotten? You ain't good. How you go to church? How you go to church downplaying another man or woman? How you go to church and you ain't giving a hand? All you giving is a hand for they can put in the pan? How you go to church? Huh? How you go to church? How you go to church when you judge the Son of God? How you go to church when you supposed to be my brother or my sister? How you go to church when you supposed to help the ones that's down? When you supposed to feed the homeless, help the kids, the innocent? How you go to church? How you go to church? How you go to church and you want to preach to me? How you go to church but you ain't told not one person to love or love thy neighbor? How you go to church but you attacking a brother like me, a brother who trying to spread love, peace, and positivity? How you go to church? Tell me, how you go to church? Huh? What? Huh? How you go to church? But you know what? I ain't going to church. You wanna know why? I don't trust the church. You wanna know who I trust? I trust God. How you go to church and you wanna judge me and tell me I don't believe in God because I don't go to church? How you go to church? And you evil like that. And you ain't got no good in you. All you want is the money. All you want is the profit. How you go to church? Tell me, how you go to church? Huh? How you go to church and you say your faith stronger than mine? Why? Because I wear my hair down? Because I got dreadlocks? Because I wear a beanie? Because I look like what? What I look like, a stereotype? How you go to church and you judge a brother like me, a brother with nothing, a brother who wake up every day and love the world, a brother who wake up and spread positivity and peace? How you go to church? Please tell me how you go to church. Huh? Exactly. Let me get out of here. But my question for you today is, how you go to church and you are who you are, pretending to be somebody you not? How you go to church? Think about that. Tell me how you go to church. Huh?